Welcome back to another lesson on PowerPoint. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to add transitions to your slides. Now, what I want you to look at is go to View, play your slides from the beginning, and click Next. Now, as I click Next, you'll notice that the transition between the slides is nothing. It's just showing the first slide, showing the second slide, and showing the third slide. Nothing interesting is happening between these changes. It's just simply showing the next slide. So I'm going to show you how you can make this more interesting, how you can change the transitions so they're not just nothing going from one slide to the next. Now we're going to go to this Transitions tab at the top. At the moment, none is selected. This means that there are no transitions between the slides. So I'm on the first slide up here, and I'm choosing the transition for the first slide. Click this little down arrow over here, and that will show you a couple more options. So for our first transition, let's just go with a warp transition. We've now added this transition for when we click next from the first slide to the second slide. We will now see a warp action happening. If we then go to the second slide, we can choose a new transition or stick with the same one. But let's pick something different. Let's say morph. Now the morph is on the second slide. Now something to notice is you see this little star shape over here. This star means that there's a transition on that slide. So you'll see our third slide doesn't have any star because there is no transition on it. Our first and second slides do because we've just added transitions. If I took it away, click on another slide, you'll see it disappears. Let's go back to it, choose morph again, go to another slide, and it has appeared again. And now let's add something to our third slide. Let's say fade. So now we have transitions on all three of our slides. If you just want the same thing happening on every single slide, you pick the transition on any one of the slides. So let's just go to the first slide, choose a transition, and you say apply to all. If you apply to all your slides will now have this warp transition. So if I go to the second slide, warp is chosen, third slide, warp is chosen. But we didn't want that, we want some different things. So let's go back to having our different options. Now I'm going back to the View tab and I'm going to play from the beginning. Watch what happens when I click Next now. So I'm clicking Next on the slide. You'll see our transition there was a fade option. We now have that happening between the two slides. Now let's go to the next slide again. And that was our morph option. So now the slides are no longer just showing the next slide. There's a nice smooth transition between each and every slide. And again, we are at the end. That's transitions. I definitely recommend that you use them. It does make your presentations look a lot more professional with a very quick and easy thing to do. So just like how you can have transitions with slides, you can also do transition-like things with images and with text. So we're on the first slide. We have this lesson 3 over here. So if you don't want something to appear straight away, or you just want to make your slides look a little bit more exciting, we're going to use this animation option over here. So let's add a subtitle. And we are going to go to animations. Now you'll see there are a whole lot of options here. None, appear, fade, fly in, and there are lots more if you click that drop down arrow. So the first thing you want to make sure you've done is that you've clicked on the text or on the image that you would like the animation to be on. So I'm going to click on transitions. Now, I've decided that I want lesson 3 to come up as soon as our presentation starts, and then I only want transitions to come up when I click the button. You're going to add an animation to this text, and I'll show you just how it works when we go back to view. So let's say fly in. You can see I could have chosen a lot. If I wanted emphasis, you'd choose something like this. If it's an exit thing, you would choose something from here. An entrance thing, you choose something from here. But you can choose whatever you would like. We're going fly in. Now you'll see that there is a 1 next to transitions here. I'm now going to go to the next slide and add an animation onto our image. So let's put an emphasis. Animation, full color. And you'll see this also has a number 1 next to it. Now what these numbers are is it's saying when you click what order writing or is the image going to appear on the slide. So because this has no transition, it's going to appear straight away. This will then appear next. If we added some more text, and let's actually do that. If you remember how to do that, we're going to go to Home. We're going to go to Shapes, and we're going to add this little text box. Move it to wherever you would like it. Okay, so now we have a whole different text box. We then go back to animations, and I'm going to add an animation to this as well. So let's say kick a box. So now that that's been added, you'll see it has number 2 next to it. So again, what that means is because this has no animation, this is lesson 3, it will show straight away. As soon as you play the slide, this will be on the screen. Because this has an animation and it's got the number 1 next to it, it will show second. So just like before when you clicked to go to the next slide, now when you click or use spacebar, your arrows, it will show this. And then clicking again, it shows number 2, which is learning PowerPoint. And clicking again will bring you to the next slide. So let's just see exactly how that works, going to view and playing from beginning. Okay, so I'm now going to click, and you'll see transitions has come up second. And it came up in our flying animation that we chose. Clicking again, learning PowerPoint has now come up. So this is obviously very useful for if you're presenting and you don't want everything to come up on the page straight away, because often people get confused, it looks a little bit too chaotic with a whole lot of writing on the page. Instead, you want things to come up one by one, so if you're listing points, you make each point a different text box, put a transition on each of those points, and as you're talking about it, you can click the button and that one point will come up, click again, and another point will come up. Let's click again. It's now bringing us to the next slide. And that is because all our animations have finished, everything had shown up, we now move on to the next slide. And clicking again, we go to our third slide and to the end. If you're not really noticing the transition like you would have seen on our second slide, so let's just go back, and to do that you just click this back option over here. Okay, so that was our transition. I didn't see anything happen there. That's just because the transition isn't very noticeable here. Rather just go back and choose a different transition, and hopefully that one will work a little bit better. So let's go back to the drawing board. Let's go back to this image, go to animations. Let's choose a different transition. Let's say random. I'm now going to play our slides again. This is on the screen straight away because it had no animation. Then that comes up, then that comes up, going to the next page. Click again, and now you'll notice the animation better here. And yeah, that's the end. So that is transitions and animations. They definitely are very helpful. I highly recommend that you use them. So just remember, everything that you want to have a separate animation on has to be a separate text box. So if you wanted to use it with bullet points, each bullet point will need to be in a separate text box. You know how to add text boxes very simply there. And yeah, so just remember that each text box is linked to one animation. So yeah, that is animations and transitions. I definitely recommend you use them. They make your presentations look a lot more professional, and they are a lot easier to follow along with